Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Castaway podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gadzik. In this episode, I wanted to share with you another one of my favorite MUFON cases that I refer to as the Stephenville incident. MUFON, by the way, stands for Mutual UFO Network. You can go to MUFON.com to find out more about who and what they are. This case is another one of those few but very special cases. I think it's special anyway. That always sticks out in my mind, like the Black Cloud cases from my other episodes. And if you haven't seen that episode, I encourage you to go check it out. And also, like those cases, I feel this one is worthy of an episode. This case, like so many others, involves yet another ordinary person just going about their day, minding their own business, working a job, whatever. Um, and suddenly suddenly they're confronted with something so strange and so bizarre, so truly bizarre. Not only are they unable to process what they just saw and explain, let alone explain it, um, but they're too scared to share it with anyone. Friends, family, certainly not coworkers, because they're scared they'll be labeled a nutcase and they'll lose their job or worse. Even high caliber witnesses like military, police, career pilots, they all kind of go down the same path of almost all of them go down the same path of just keeping it to themselves. Um, and some of them eventually reveal this information later on, like when they're old and near their deathbed. And in this case, the witness, who's a veteran police officer, he waited until close to until I'm sorry, after retirement, um, to tell anyone about what happened. And so once that happened, once he was officially retired, he started by telling his closest friends and family, is my understanding. Um, and then he eventually filed a report with MUFON. Um, and they took down all the information that he gave them and made it available to the public. And as the internet exploded in that same time period, he began to do his own research because he really wanted to know what happened to him that night. He really wanted to know what was it that he saw. He was looking to see if anyone else had seen anything even remotely similar, but unfortunately, he was unable to. At that time, he was unable to find um, anything that would uh, match his scenario even remotely closely. Anyway, I did get a copy of that report from MUFON, and that is what I'm going to share with you today. So, according to the witness, this is what happened. The incident occurred between 2000 and 2001 in a small town called Stephenville, Texas, which is located approximately 100 miles southwest of Dallas. I was employed at the police department as the patrol night shift sergeant. My shift was from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. On this particular night, I had been at the police department for a short break. I walked out to my patrol car and left heading east. I drove one block over and noticed something on top of the post office that caught my attention. I stopped my patrol vehicle in the street between two vacant parking lots. The post office was located one block to my north of my position. This was a cloudless night and very clear. My driver's side window was down and was in direct line and view of what I was observing. I first saw something light green getting larger as it was heading across the roof of the post office toward my direction. As I watched it, I began to realize it appeared to exactly resemble a person walking. It stopped at the edge of the flat roof of the post office on the side facing me. The best description I can give of the thing I saw is the following. It appeared to be about 8 feet tall. I based this by the height of the post office wall in proportion to the thing's height. The body of the thing had a regular build to its height, meaning what a person who was in good shape would look like. not fat or skinny. The most extraordinary item was the thing was transparent. The lines of the thing were fluorescent green, which gave it somewhat of a mass, but was still transparent. The thing had great 3D detail. Every feature except for the height appeared to be human. The clothing appeared to be what I would describe as a jumpsuit. But again, it was all one color and made up by its green outlines. The thing appeared bald to the best of what I could remember. The thing stood at the edge and put its hands on its hips, then turned its upper body and began looking back off to the west as if it were observing something. It then turned and began looking off to the east for a few seconds. All I could think was that I can't believe what I'm seeing, and I hope it didn't see me. A few seconds later, it looked down directly at me. I didn't feel fear. I don't know if I could actually see a smile or just had that feeling like it was smiling and saying, "Well, you saw me," but I never felt threatened. The thing turned and began walking back to the way it came. I remember saying to myself, "Like hell, you're getting away." And I drove to the back of the post office to the north side. The walls to the post office are about 25 feet tall on all sides. I called the fire department, which is located next to the police station, and told them to bring a ladder truck over to the post office because I believed someone was on the roof. Another police unit left the police department and set up watching the opposite sides of the building. About 5 minutes later, the fire department arrived. I told the others to stay down and that I would check the roof. I climbed up on the roof and there was nothing. I searched the spot on the roof where it was standing and the path it walked and found nothing. I believe the roof was graveled, but I can't remember for sure. The officer and fire department personnel, I'm sure, thought I was nuts thinking someone was up there. I dared not tell them what I really saw. So I sat on this for years, and I only told a few close friends about the experience. Since the internet has come out, I have tried to research any other sightings such as this, but I have found nothing. I can say this with the utmost confidence that I know what I saw. There was so much detail in the thing. This was a very clear night. The thing had the dark sky behind it, so it was easy to see, not to mention its eyes. The man never saw it again. Now try putting yourself in this man's shoes. You're a police officer. You're out on night patrol in a small town in Texas, basically in the middle of nowhere. You're probably used to dealing with things like domestic disturbances, maybe some gangbangers, loud parties, um, maybe a carjacking, and then this happens to you. 8 foot transparent being with glowing green edges walking around on the roof of a post office. How do you think you'd react to that? Who was this being? Was it human? I mean, I don't know too many people who are 8 feet tall. At least that was the judgment of the police officer. Um, again, police officers are usually trained to make those kind of distinctions. So I trust that his assessment was accurate. That the being was, in fact, around 8 feet tall. But even if it's 7.5 feet tall, that's still pretty. That's still pretty damn tall. So was this even a human, or was it something else? And how was it able to be transparent? And what can do that? Like what kind of outfit can you wear? What kind of material can you cover yourself with to make yourself totally transparent? You know, the the police officer mentioned something about it looked like he was wearing a jumpsuit, or looked like it was wearing a jumpsuit. But again, since he was transparent, there's no way to know for sure. But whatever it was skin tight, and all you could see were the glowing green edges of it. But Again, what material can do that? What material can make you completely transparent? He said he could see there was a clear night and he could see he could see through him. He could see stuff behind him. He could see stuff that was behind him through him. How is that possible? You see that in movies all the time. You see that in Hollywood and special effects, but to see it in real life, what could do that? Who could do that? And why was that on the roof of the post office? Why that particular building? Was there something special about that building? Or was it just because it just decided randomly that that was the building it wanted to stand on? And why, for that matter, why that town? What's so special about this small town in the middle of nowhere in Texas? Like what was there something special about that town? Or again, was this just a random choice? And how many more of these transparent beings are walking around? Keep in mind, this was roughly 25 years ago. So if one of these things is walking around in the roof of a post office in some small town in Texas, in the middle of nowhere, how many more are there? Imagine like major cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. You know, how I mean, are they are there hundreds, maybe thousands of them walking around among us all the time, just watching us all the time? Are there that many? Are there like an army of them just walking around observing us? And if that's true, what does this all mean? Who are they and why are they here? What is their mission? What is their goal? Like what are they doing here? Especially if they're not human, how did they get here? And B, what's their objective? What's their goal? It's to walk around invisible and watch people drink soda? I mean, there's got they're who or whatever that was doing something for a reason. No one does anything without a reason. It was doing something. It was there on top of that roof, looking around for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, and neither did the witness. But it had a purpose. Are they looking for something specific, maybe, or are they just observing people? Are they just sort of making sure everything's looking okay, that nothing bad is happening? I don't know. Again, like, no one does anything without a reason. So what was their reason for being on that particular building on that particular night in that particular town? And I mean, we could just keep asking more and more questions like this. And unfortunately, any question we could answer will just provoke more questions. It's unfortunately that's the nature of the beast. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was he saw that night, but I do know that I personally believe him. I believe this witness's story, and cases like this just further reinforce my overall perception of human society, of what the truth, I should say, the truth of human society, which is that it's just not what it appears to be. That nothing is what it seems to be in human society. And I mean everything. I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm talking about everything, all of this entire what we call reality. None of it is what we think it is, and none of it is what it appears to be. And I don't believe humans came from any kind of primordial soup. I believe wholeheartedly. Um, I believe wholeheartedly um, that we were put here for a reason. That human beings were put here, by someone or something a very long time ago. And maybe whoever this 8-foot tall being was, maybe it was a member of the same race. Maybe they were involved in our being placed here. Who knows? Maybe not. I just know that we were put here for a reason, and we're being managed by one or more races. There's probably I have no doubt there's more than one involved. But it's possible that whoever this 8-foot tall person um, they're also they're obviously they're part of this. They're clearly part of whatever is really going on, and some of these guys that are watching from afar, maybe they're watching from camouflage ships in the sky. Maybe some are watching from they have bases on the moon. Maybe they're watching from there. Maybe they're underwater and they observe from underwater. Who knows? Who knows? And some are obviously right here on the ground. They're out in the field, as they say in the police force. They're out in the field, except they're camouflage. And every once in a while, someone comes along and spots one by pure chance. This police officer just happened to be in the exact right place at the exact right time to see one of them up close. And the funny thing about this situation is the being didn't even seem to care. Just sort of casually, it looked at him, noticed that, realized that he was being watched, and then just casually walked away unafraid. What does that mean? I mean, I wouldn't if it were me and I casually walked away like that, it would tell me that it would signal to me that I'm in the superior position. I have no reason to be afraid of the person watching because there's not only can they not do anything to me, but even if they tell anyone about me, like no one's ever going to believe them because of the way I'm presenting myself is so extraordinary that no one would even believe me. And that ended up being the case. The police officer didn't tell a soul until after he retired. So his pension, he wouldn't risk losing his pension. And then this thing just disappeared without a trace. He went up on the roof and nothing. There was nothing, no footprints, nothing, no disturbances of any kind. Look, whatever your religious or spiritual beliefs or politics or worldviews are, um, there is one thing I believe for certain. You don't have to agree with me, of course. You can believe whatever you want, but I wholeheartedly believe a there there is and has been non-human presence on Earth for a long time, right now, and for a very long time. And they watch us all the time, and they're collecting information for whatever reason. I think they sometimes even um, I think they sometimes even capture people and scan them and test them and then put them back where they were, and the person that just got taken didn't even realize it. They just sort of go about their day like nothing happened. But for the most part, they seem to avoid contact. You know, just every once in a while they get spotted by someone just in the right place at the right time. And like if you like in my episode, if you recall my episode with the black clouds, sometimes these encounters aren't so peaceful. Sometimes they're terrifying. Sometimes they actually interact with the person watching them in a way it seems very threatening, or seems very at the very least, if not threatening, it seems very um it scares the witness. It scares them, and they end up running away, fleeing the scene because they're so intimidated by what they see. Luckily for this man, his encounter was very peaceful, and he never saw, so as far as I know, he never saw this thing ever again. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please remember to check out my other videos covering very similar topics. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel and follow me on X. My X handle is at real Steve Gedzik. Thank you again for your time and attention. And until next time, good night.